Yo, we here in Maywood. Let's go. We finna go see the mayor. Let's get it. Yours News. The village of Maywood is not that big. You know, village of Maywood is right outside the suburbs of the Chicago. It's the west suburb. And, you know, a lot of people from Chicago come move out here and, you know, it's part of the west side. It's like the sister or brother to the west side. So we about to interview the mayor, so come with me, let's go. Mayor Booker, how you doing? How you doing?
How's it going?
I'm coming to invade your privacy for a little while, you know, and get an interview and chop it up with you.
Okay.
And I'm just happy to see you. I ain't seen you in a while. You know how it go. But we here on Yours News and just wanted to talk to you. We can I have a seat in your office for a second? Okay, thank you very much. Man, so we here today. How you been today? How your day been?
Life has been busy and productive. Kicked off today with a press conference already. Had 3 press conferences yesterday.
Okay.
Got home last night from a gala. Got a gala later tonight.
Yeah.
So life is life.
Oh man, dope. I'm actually happy to, you know, do this interview with you because this means a lot because I'm from Maywood and I grew up half in Maywood, half out on the west side of Chicago.
Okay.
But you know, Maywood is home. But also with all the different changes that's going on in Maywood, that's kind of some Yours News, like what we're trying to highlight. This is something we're trying to like we go to different facilities. I interviewed some principals. I did some, and that's another thing too. I got to get some Maywood schools. We done been on the west side of Chicago.
Yeah, you gotta get some Maywood.
You know, I got to get some Maywood schools. There we go. So, yeah, we just want to talk about some of the changes. But before we get into all that, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how many years you've been the mayor.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, Mayor Nathaniel Booker, born and raised in Bellwood and Maywood. So,
okay.
You've been on the west side. I ain't been out there.
Yeah.
A lot of times people say, like, he not from here. I'm like, I'm from 5 blocks away though. So
5 blocks.
Grew up in Maywood. and Bellwood. Graduated from Proviso West.
Right.
Went off to college, Tennessee State University, HBCU. Shout out. Worked the world in government, working in hospitality, working in hotel management. Came back home, ran for mayor in 2021 after being in council since 2019. So this is my 5th year. I won re-election last year, and since then we just been moving Maywood forward together.
Man, that's dope. All I'm gonna say is, since you've been mayor, what I can say is I've seen a lot of change through Maywood. I've seen a lot of change through Maywood, and I want to know, is it, you know, because a lot of people, you know, growing up in Maywood, and that's why I'm here. I don't want to like get the news. The stuff that people hear on the news and the politics, I want to hear it firsthand. So a lot of people that grew up in Maywood, back in the day, they used to talk bad about the politics of Maywood. And they used to say, you know, different things of, you know, just need new, like some type of, how important was that when you got in office to be like, you know, like kind of change that narrative of how Maywood politics is looked at?
So I would say different parts of looking at that is, without a vision the people perish, right?
Right.
So there's a thing about politics is I can be the best politician that goes to every church anniversary. I go to every fish fry. Yeah. I can show up to every school event and smile and take my photos. That does not make me a good mayor, right? So the politics of it all are the things that you know you have to do simply because of the title that you hold.
Right.
That has nothing to do with the work that you're required to do and you should be doing if you're walking in purpose, right?
Right.
So I think when you think about the politics of it is people visibly seeing you out of it. The work of what a real leader does is the behind the scene work that nobody really gets to see. So if you're not walking in purpose, you have no vision, you're not conveying a vision, people perish, and so does the community.
Right. So, and even with that, like, because I know the viewers and Instagram, I know how, and people in the world general, how you just gave me that answer, they ain't going to be able to cipher that answer the right way.
You want to break it down?
So we gonna get to you know, that way. Okay.
So put it like this: there are some people who like to call themselves mayor,
right?
And some people will say, I cut ribbons. I show up to a board meeting, but everybody else is doing everything else. There are some people who walk in leadership saying, I know our lead service lines need to get taken care of. I know our streets need to get taken care of. I know our education system needs to get taken care of. I know our seniors need some investment. I know our youth needs some nourishment.
Everything.
So there's work required in that.
Work required.
I can get my hair cut and put on a suit every day. That doesn't make me a good mayor.
Correct.
I can give you some nice photos. That doesn't make me a good mayor.
Correct.
I think the reality is a lot of people believe that everything you need to make a community thrive from a mayoral standpoint is just showing up.
Correct.
Just showing up.
Correct.
If I come to you every single day and I shake your hand, you can say I got a good relationship with the mayor. Did I bring in any food access?
That's it. Yeah.
Did I bring in any infrastructure change?
Yeah.
Did I help in housing?
Yeah.
Did I help with property taxes?
Definitely.
But that mayor, he shakes my hand every day. What is that doing?
But it ain't do nothing. And that's kind of like the purpose of what I do with the whole channel, because a lot of people just hear what Maywood and wanna they go off Facebook, and a lot of people wanna, just and I don't wanna do that, and that's why I'm here. I wanna do firsthand. I'm talking to the person that where everything is centered around. We got the mayor, and if we're hearing it from his mouth, then obviously this is how it. But people, you just have people in the community that I guess when they saw the change in the community, that's when they started believing a little more. Would you say it went like that, or did they like grasp to you right off back?
I think my biggest piece when I first ran for mayor, I laid out like my whole blueprint of this is what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's sharing a vision.
Okay.
Right. So in sharing that vision, it became why are you gonna put everything out? And my piece was, if I don't become mayor, somebody needs to do it regardless.
Regardless. Right? Yeah.
So running for mayor, sharing that vision. Once I got in, it was time to execute on the vision.
Yeah.
When you sit there and you say, people walked in saying, yeah, that was a good vision, but we're going to see if he actually do it. That was a good flyer. That was a good mailer.
You didn't have the
initial. But let's see if he
initial.
really going to do it.
Okay, then,
right?
yeah.
So the first 3 years was the waking up, proving a point energy.
Right.
Like, don't tell me what takes a decade. Don't tell me what takes 20 years to get done.
Yeah.
Right? So when we look at in the first 4 years, we did not raise property taxes from the village of Maywood one time. However, we have more services, more staff, and more resources than we've had before. We've reopened the Boys and Girls Club at the 200 building for after school, summer programming, senior programming, weekend activities. That building had been closed from an overall standpoint of utilization for years.
Yeah.
We opened up a crisis response management hub to truly focus on mental health, behavioral health, domestic violence, and substance use. We're cutting a ribbon in June on our Economic Empowerment Center. That's the center
the center you were telling me about. And we're gonna have to come back for that.
I got you.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come back for that one.
We have the grocery store that's been closed for over a decade. Reopens in August.
Which block is that on?
That's on 5th and Washington.
That one on 5th and Washington, man.
Under construction right now.
Okay, yeah.
You have when you look at previous administration to where we are today, where you would normally have 15 to 25 homicides as a normal. Last year we had 1, and that was a domestic dispute.
Definitely.
Right?
Now
When you look at every aspect of crime is down double digits, but then the only thing that's really on the rise is domestic violence, which we're attacking and addressing in different ways. Look at over $32 million in new property sales tax, revenue sales tax.
Man.
You look at 34,000 square foot expansions for businesses that were going to leave Maywood. You look at blighted tax reactivation for properties that haven't paid taxes in 30 years.
Yeah.
You look at property tax collection rate increase of over 20% of revenues.
Man.
Life is life. Facts are facts.
And honestly, I'm glad you came to that point where you just went with the whole crime stuff, because Maywood has had a major turnaround in crime, especially for me growing up in Maywood and being in Maywood and just, seeing different things. I'm going to say even with the whole crime, because I came and we here to like talk the truth. So basically, I grew up in the era where Maywood was considered like a murder capital at one point, and the news was saying it was the murder capital, you know, and it was just a thing to say. I guess the name they said was Murder Woods.
Sure.
Murder Woods. That was like and from that era to this era, because I know it's still crime going on, but what changes within the system as far as the politics, the policing,
Sure.
Because you really can't change the streets. So what changes did you I guess you can.
We did.
I guess well, I'm gonna say it's gonna
Shifting
always
culture.
right. Okay, we're gonna shift culture. I'm gonna say this. What changes within the on you guys' side did you make that you feel like bettered the whole streets?
Sure. I would say the things that we did to focus on making Maywood better is intentionality. Again, I'm going to keep going back to the vision because I look back to previous administrations and I don't see the vision. Right? So we conveyed a vision. When I ran for mayor, it wasn't just me running for mayor. We had people running for Park District. We had people running for library. We had people running for high school board, elementary school board, and for Triton College. So my thing is, if you're going to shift a culture of a community, it's going to take all hands on deck.
True.
You can't say you want a better community and you want people to want to stay in your community if your schools are in the bottom 5% of the state. So when you look at back in 2021, we had Proviso East was in the bottom 5% of the state. You had Garfield, you had Emerson, all in the bottom 5% of the state. None of them are in the bottom 5% of the state today, but it took true intentionality to watch a Proviso East work with them on multi-tiered systems for the families as a holistic family situation, right? It's not just what's going on in those four walls, it's what's going on with that child that has to leave those four walls and go to a place that's either you laying on the bed, you laying on the floor, you laying on the couch, but what's going on with that family unit, right? So that's what focuses on the behavioral health, the mental health, the substance use, and the domestic violence. So when thinking about being intentional about that aspect, we started the Department of Safety and Wellness. We started the Department of Homeland Security. So within focusing on that, we were able to get more of our student resource officers. So we got student resource officers placed in our middle schools and within our high schools. We did after school programming that didn't exist before. We funded positive behavior intervention supports in the elementary and middle schools. We funded opportunities of multi-tiered support systems in the high schools. So it's not just dealing with the youth so much it is working with a whole system to a holistic family. So when you really are tapping into the family, you know what's going on more than just why he not coming to school.
You know exactly what the
when we look at Village of Maywood in general, you look at all 40 communities that make up the West Central Municipal, right? We are the highest in heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, food insecurity, everything like that. So what do? You create programs that deliver fresh food produce with recipes to people's houses. You work with a company or a group such as like a Dion Chicago Dream to put a Dream Vault in that people don't have to come to you and stand in a line for some food versus just walk in, punch their code and go about their day. Right? So you focus on every aspect. The one thing that I do is it's elements of a healthy community, which is not recreating the wheel, right? This has been around since the 1970s from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. If you have all 12 of these areas thriving, you have a thriving community. So when we look at economics, education, housing, food access, healthcare, if you have those things moving in the right direction, your community is going to reflect it. Definitely.
And since you, even with the community thing, I've did a lot of research, and I've, like, even with the producers of this show we're doing, like, they reach out to people and, like, and I think this was a question that came up in our comments a lot too. Like, when we reach out to the Park District, is it like a separation between these two things? Because we reached out to the Park District and it seemed like they didn't, want to just direct us, give us good information that, I'm gonna say more of they wanted to. It just seemed like the community's not all in one. I'm gonna just say it like that because I'm not gonna, go.
That's the best way you can put it.
I'm gonna just say the community is not all.
We can answer that real simple.
But I didn't want to put you in a different situation. It
is what it is.
So with that, because our producers kind of got like some rude, because we were speaking highly of
Sure.
the village and Mayor Booker and certain different people, and we didn't get that response that we really supposed to get.
Let me say this.
Okay.
I respect and love everybody.
Right.
Right? For me, the Park District is a separate governing body that people don't really think
Just
about.
to clear that part up. Y'all are separate.
You pay your property taxes to the Village of Maywood. You pay property taxes to the Maywood Park District.
Okay.
The Village of Maywood owns 7 parks. The Maywood Park District owns 4.
Gotcha.
The Village of Maywood owns our facilities. They own the 2 buildings on 9th and Madison.
Gotcha.
When I talk about after-school programming, working with the elementary schools, working with the middle schools, working in partnership with the library to provide elementary school after-school programming, middle school programming, are taking us Youth Leadership Council, Youth Delegation, youth summer programs, senior programming, different festivals and events every single month in the Village of Maywood. That is the Village of Maywood.
But
So
are
when
we
you-
all
so-
still Maywood?
I would love to feel that way, but unfortunately that's not my truth, right?
Okay.
Because what we have to do is unveil the real truth. In my first year, we've renovated 5 parks.
Okay.
That's the Village of Maywood. To know what's going on with the Maywood Park District, you would have to go talk to the Maywood Park District.
And you see how that could confuse
I
a
do.
resident that don't
Which-
know
so,
politics
unless-
and don't know.
So this is where I say, the reality is we did a referendum question 2 years ago, last November, 2 years ago. And the question really was, would you like to see a consolidated park district and village?
Okay.
The question,
And this is public.
This is public information.
Okay.
It was an actual vote that residents gave.
Got you.
Right? So everybody's saying, you know, they've wanted to do that for the last 20 years, but they wanted it to go to the park district, not to the village. That was 20 years ago. That hasn't been done in 20 years.
Okay.
I'm not going to hold myself to something that was supposed to be done 2 years after it was voted on back in 2006. That expired
Okay.
20 years ago. Like
Right.
it expired 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're not going to hold me to that standard.
Yeah.
But the question of would you like to see the Village of Maywood consolidate the Maywood Park District and bring it into the fold was voted on overwhelmingly by over 92% of the vote of residents.
Okay.
I don't know when you're going to see something else get 92% of the vote.
92%
Right?
of the vote, yeah.
So we have put together what it would be a management agreement because it has to be a binding referendum, which requires nearly 3,000 signatures of residents. You barely get 3,000 people to vote.
Barely.
Right? So what we offered to the Maywood Park District was a management agreement. The Village of Maywood gave the management agreement to the Maywood Park District from 2021 when I first came in as mayor to 2023. In 2023, by 2023, nothing had been done, nothing had been changed. The Maywood Park District had been given management of the 200 building. They weren't paying the utilities, they weren't paying for services. We were still paying all the bills for everything.
Yeah.
Yet had given them a 2-year management agreement. Fast forward, we decided not to renew that contract. And that's what made us go to the referendum question.
To see if you want to.
To see, like, look.
Yeah.
My piece is I don't want to fight with nobody, but I don't have a problem fighting if I know it's what the residents want.
Right.
So if 92% of residents that actually vote in a presidential election say, gubernatorial, say we want this change to happen, then that's what I'm focused on. So you may have gotten from the Park District a little distance because they do know that I'm getting signatures to do the binding referendum.
Got you.
They do know that I am working to consolidate the Maywood Park District.
Got you.
It's nothing against them personally.
Yeah.
It's just that when I look at the work that I did as a volunteer from 2017 to 2019, then the work that I helped do as a council member from 2019 to 2021, and then as mayor, I gave them the 2-year contract from 21 to 23.
Yeah.
I don't need to see anything else than what I see.
What you
right? So I'm not gonna go into detail of they stuff.
So,
but do you
coming
see a
from
new park from the Maywood Park District?
I don't know.
Do you see how we do in the Village of Maywood free summer programming for high school, middle school, and elementary, and they want to charge you $200 a week for the same program?
Well, I'm gonna say from my end, I know that because I'm knowledgeable. But let's speak for the average Maywood citizen that don't know the difference between the Parks District and. So yes, I know the Village of Maywood is, stepping in what they're talking about, but the average resident still hasn't come to term on why is how is it not all Maywood? You get what I'm saying? I think the average, not me.
So on, on the most basic level,
yeah.
If you go back up into the late 1980s, there were 3 different governing bodies of Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
Fast forward into today, you have to do government binding work to get things done. You can't just slap something on a referendum as a question and then be like, now we legally got to do it.
Right.
There's still a legal process to get it done.
Okay.
So right now, from a village standpoint, we're following the legal process to get it done.
Okay.
From a resident standpoint that's not affiliated, isn't aware, my piece that I give back to that resident is when I first became mayor, you got 1 newsletter a year. Now you get 12.
Yeah.
You have community meetings for something every single month. We do a quarterly community dinner and discussion.
Yeah.
Right? If you are choosing not to be involved in that,
that's you.
That's you.
That's you.
I literally, on my mayor's page, if you go to my personal social media, I might post something.
Yeah, we did our research.
Every other month, right?
You don't. Yep.
If you go to my mayor Nathaniel Booker,
you there.
I'm every single day posting something.
You're
right?
there.
So for me, I'm not that big on social media. I'm just being honest.
Right.
I don't watch a lot of TV.
Right.
Right. But I understand that it's a resource to communicate to people.
Definitely.
So if you are unsure of what's going on in the village of Maywood, you can most certainly go to my page.
Yeah, you there
because
all day.
I'm posting every single day.
And you know what I like about you on the internet? You respond back to people. They not used to mayors getting at a person on the internet. And I say, man, Mayor Booker, he stands for his town, and And I like that because actually it creates a more human aspect to being a mayor when people could see you interacting and engaging with people on the internet, because the internet, I know the older crowd might think is nothing, but that's everything to people. Even people at work, they sit behind their cubicles all day scrolling. You know what I'm saying? So even with this interview, it's going to be informational for people, and they never probably heard this side. They probably heard the rumors, but they never heard this side. So, so even with that, just to piggyback off that one thing. So, do you feel like the policing, the side of things, do you feel like that's better? Because I guess when the crime was up, would we say the police? It was bad, or are we gonna say it was more crime?
So I would say the intentionality of trying to bring community back to community is what has changed and shifted that, right? We have worked on more community engagement events, more community engagement from families, for our seniors, for our youth. So when you are intentionally rebuilding community in everything that you do, that's what shifts that culture of violence. That's what shifts that culture of you being angry. If I'm able to help a person escape domestic violence, able to help a hungry kid that's hungry, that child that was going home hungry, watching a domestic dispute every single night, now is in a mentally capable space to actually go to school ready to learn.
Okay, then
Or am I going to school angry, ready to fight?
Right.
And then y'all crazy and mad, a fight broke out and that's on Instagram.
True.
Did you actually know what was going on with that child, or did you just watch him and say, oh, he got attitude today? Why does he have an attitude today?
Yeah.
You have so many of our kids that literally come to our after school program, especially summer. They just hungry.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? They want to go eat because they know until they get to the breakfast program in the morning, that's the last thing they eat.
That's the last thing they eat.
So you're telling me that child's not angry?
Right. And this is another question too. I'm getting stuff that Maywood would want to ask, or like say if Maywood got to talk to you like I'm talking to you. These are things that they would want to, cause so growing up in Maywood,
you can create Ask the Mayor series and I'll be there every month.
Look, you heard that? You heard that on yours news. But look, it's a thing in Maywood where I grew up. It's, this is a town where families have grew up, generations, and their cousins go to these schools, and they become so it's like, we're gonna say like athletic wise, and just different programs and getting the certain resources and things you need. We know nepotism have been a lot involved in Maywood because of just family, just people.
Everybody know everybody.
Everybody know everybody. Their cousins maybe been a police officer. They did, so I'm gonna say, what about those kids? Because I was one of those kids that came to Maywood with no Maywood backing. Like, yeah, your cousin went through, and I felt how you could feel a little outside while you could be from Maywood, but not sometimes feel from Maywood if you didn't grow up born, if your people ain't, how Maywood do.
Yeah.
So,
it's a different zip.
What would you say to, those kids that can't get around all this? Cause it is like, I know you the mayor, and I know you talking and we saying, it's programs, but it's a group of kids in Maywood where it's kind of hard to reach. So this is for them if they happen to watch this. What would you say to them? Like, cause when people don't make their basketball team at East, they take different routes. The basketball team is everything at East. So if people. What would you say is other things for them to do? Because I went down that road of not being able to play varsity basketball and not knowing what else to do, because that was just the highlight of everything. But the cousins got picked, the good player got the family member. So what about for those kids that, the nephew, you know what I'm saying? So what about for those kids that after that moment where sports is not it, that's all. Honestly, I can't even give you another one. What do you say?
Several.
Please say what do you say to those kids?
So here's my part. I wasn't a sports kid.
Right.
I got 3 brothers. We all back to back in age. They did basketball, football, soccer, swim team.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was always youth leadership council, key club, choir. That was my dig, right?
Right.
So for me, as a 3rd generation homeowner here in the village of Maywood, everybody, your cousin did football. Your brother was doing basketball. Your brother was doing track. I know. However, so for me, it's like everybody not going to the NBA.
Everybody not.
And everybody's not going to the NFL. So what we've tried to intertwine is that athletic enrichment with career and life readiness. So when we do the career and life readiness, we do things with like Aerostar Aviation, where we actually help kids get their pilot license.
Man.
Right? So with the after school programming, we actually say, Loyola Hospital is right up the street with over 200 jobs available to you right now.
Yes.
But do we make sure our kids know to get those certifications so that they actually can get those jobs? And some of them, they can get the certification and the diploma all at the same time. So as a part of our exploring program under the Career and Life Readiness Initiative, Loyola comes over and works with the kids, brings them white coats to see themselves.
Yeah.
It's like you can see it, you can achieve it, right?
Definitely.
So we work with that. The other piece that we work on across the Exploring program, we have police, we have fire, we have business, we have healthcare, we have law and government.
Yeah.
We do this program for free to our middle school and high school students Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 at the 200 building every single day.
Man.
When we do summer, we do summer enrichment, we do the program from 11 to 7 p.m. Free every single day and feed them twice a day.
Man.
So for me, if a person is not in sports, or even a lot of the kids come when they get done with practice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my piece is you'll have somebody coming in from banking, or the other reality is right now at the 200 building, we're ripping out an old computer lab because we're like, we don't need a computer lab anymore because we can move the laptops to wherever we want to.
Man, that's dope. That's dope.
The old computer lab is becoming a podcast station and a music studio.
And then that's why. You know where I'm going.
Listen,
you know why I'm here.
You asked what can the kids do, right? We've bought the sewing machines, we bought the press machines.
You know I'm
the last event, like now when we have our community events and you see the Maywood logo and you see the stuff on
they printed it.
Those are kids printing those machines, making those things.
Man, you just read my mind.
You know, like right now they're redesigning. We have Village Pride, Village Wide coming up in April. We've had the same sign on the T-shirts for the last 4 years. They're doing a competition right now to redesign that. For Maywood Fest that's coming up in September for Labor Day.
Yes.
They redoing what that T-shirt looks like.
Yeah.
Realistically, I understand that in order to make a community thrive, you have to pour into the youth.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's the biggest part that sometimes we're like, you're giving too much to the kids. How can I give too much to something that I want to take care of me later on in life?
Man, and honestly, that's the purpose. And with this, people gonna, they're gonna have a lot of more questions now. They're gonna see this and
Questions don't bother me.
they're gonna wanna talk. But even with what we're doing, like you said, the kids, it is a group of kids that's walking around Maywood, and they don't know about all this type of stuff. So that's right. That's why I'm glad you just spoke on that type of stuff, letting them know it's other things besides basketball. It's other things, because a lot of people last stop is First Avenue, Proviso East, and after that it's like, what do we do?
Well, that's why you also think about when you say, how do you keep community thriving and being intentional, right?
Yeah.
When you start off somebody as the youth counselor over at the 200 building for the after school program, but now they work in building and code.
Yeah.
As they're driving around Maywood seeing these kids,
Yeah.
they're in a Village of Maywood vehicle. Hey, y'all ain't got nothing to do? Go over to the 200 building, there's food. Right now you have people in the community public safety department for safety and wellness. They driving around, they're walking around town, they're going to the basketball courts.
Do y'all still got that, not to cut you off, do y'all still got those jobs from back, like back in the day? I used to always want that Maywood drive where they riding around on the back of the truck with the garbage cans, and they hopping out, cleaning up. You remember that? You remember?
Yes. So
that everybody wanted to work for Maywood when that, yeah.
So this summer we will have 25 to 30 youth summer jobs available.
Okay, then.
So that actually will be in the next newsletter.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I don't know if we're going to put them in the back of the pickup truck again.
That's how they
I do know exactly.
Yeah.
You know. So here's my reality, right? My first job I ever had was painting curbs for the village.
Yeah,
right.
stuff
So
like
I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning painting yellow curbs.
Yeah, there you go.
Making what, $4.50 an hour.
There you go. There you go.
But at the end of the day, yes, we have that. We also do other partnerships with other programs that offer youth summer jobs as well. So,
right.
Yep.
And honestly, what that did, the park district or the village probably didn't know, whoever gave those jobs, but that brought kids from each different sides together, because when you got to go to work, it's like, man, even if we got problems with these people or we don't like these people, we all coming to work for the Maywood Park or the village or whatever it is, and we cool now. Like, I feel like, you know, when you give some people the opportunity to make
money, and you're also giving people like the time to get to know each other and learn each other.
There you go.
We're not in a classroom. We out picking up trash.
Yeah.
We not in a classroom. We separating files in a file cabinet, talking mess because we out in a building working a job.
Right.
I think it also instills a different point of pride, a different point of work ethic, a different sense of ownership.
Yeah.
And it's like if you are going to continue to watch your best and brightest just survive your community and leave it, versus embrace them and make them love it. I mean, somebody has to replace me as mayor. Somebody has to replace the village manager. Somebody has to replace the director of finance. Why can't it be a Village of Maywood resident? But if you don't pour into them young, that young person that could be the director of finance is going to go to another town in another state to be the director of finance. Man. The goal is to make sure our community stays in love with our community, and you can't social media yourself into community.
Definitely can't.
You have to be physically engaged. And that's why we're so physically engaged with our youth.
And I ain't gonna hold you up. I know you got a busy day ahead and you got a lot of stuff to do. But what I am gonna say is sticking to that community part. We are Maywood, but we connected to these other towns like Bellwood, Hillside, Westchester, Broadview, all these surrounding towns. How is your relationship with those mayors?
Yeah.
And how do you guys, operate? Because it's essentially one, because I'm always in if you grew up in Maywood, you in all these towns. What's the operation?
What's the synergy?
Between you and all those mayors.
Literally 45 minutes ago, I was with Mayor Thompson of Broadview and Mayor Harvey of Bellwood.
Okay.
So for me, we have great synergy in regards to understanding our kids don't think about, if I'm on 14th, if I'm on the east side of the block, I'm in Maywood. If I'm on the west side of the block, I'm in Broadview, right? So we recently launched our West Cook Business Alliance, collectively between the three mayors, that brings together that opportunity. When we talk about our after-school program, we have kids from Bellwood, Broadview, Hillside, Berkeley. Yeah. Maywood is the community that we are the largest residential community in the western suburbs of Proviso Township, right? So when you look at the Black Mecca is Maywood in the western suburbs, period. when you think about, when I say our youth delegation, as a youth delegation, myself, Mayor Harvey, and Mayor Thompson travel with our kids with National League of Cities every year. We've taken, within the last couple of years, Tampa. We've taken them to Atlanta. We've taken them to Washington, D.C. And this November, we'll be taking them to Nashville, all collectively together. So it's some Bellwood kids, it's some Broadview kids, it's some Maywood kids, all mixed into it. This summer with Freedom School, we'll be working in partnership with making sure we get some School District 88, School District 89, and some School District 92 kids mixed into Freedom School, which is a summer program. So we talk every single week. I mean, we have the Joint 911 Call Center that we're working and bringing that into light for better things.
Okay,
when I say the crisis response management, it doesn't matter what town you're from. We help everybody. So for me, we always in each other's towns.
Oh yeah. Hey, so I'm glad you let me come talk to you today, because I didn't get to ask everything I wanted to ask, because I know you gotta, get your time. But we're gonna come back. We're gonna do. We're gonna
set it up at a restaurant somewhere.
We're gonna be eating some good food, and we're gonna get us a conversation in. But far as Maywood, I love what you're doing. I love what you done brought to the city. Everything, the change is amazing, and we just want to see. We just keep it going, man. So I thank you for coming out.
Absolutely.
Well, thank me for coming out. I came out.
I'm about to go to another meeting.
Yes, I'm glad I came out and got the interview. And actually, we're gonna be talking about more of the program, because you said with the T-shirt stuff that you guys are doing, we're gonna donate
like the
some
crickets and all that.
Yeah, we're gonna donate some T-shirts so you guys can, print up some stuff, some hoodies, some, and
like even when we did the proviso piece, did you see like last February, last March when we did the swag shop? So now the swag shop is at East, West, and PMSA.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
The kids designed those shirts and kicked that off.
Oh yeah, that's
even
dope.
when we did order some of the T-shirts, there was personalization that they could do in real time to get those things personalized.
Okay then, yeah, we
always striking the creative mind.
Oh yeah, definitely. And is it anybody you wanna give a shout out to, or anybody you wanna give gratitude to in the community that's been by your side helping you and doing things?
Everybody. No, I mean, if we're gonna do that shout out, of course I'm gonna kick it off with Congressman Danny K. Davis, who's been amazing and going on his way out right now. I'm gonna give a shout out to U.S. Senator Dick Durbin, who's been amazing. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth, who was just in the village of Maywood right here in this boardroom 2 Saturdays ago.
Man, that's dope.
Talking about infrastructure.
That's dope.
But I'm also gonna get a shout out to organizations like DOD for Youth that's out here doing the work every day. Danka Basketball League that's out here.
There we go. Yes, sir.
Vinny with the Proviso Bills that's out here doing the work with the kids every day. Amanda, who's out here with Flames doing the work with the kids.
Cheerleaders, right?
Yeah, cheerleaders.
Yeah, okay then, yeah.
So for me, it's making sure our businesses, our residents, our elected officials are all working together to move the community forward is my biggest piece. So I would give you a laundry list of shout outs if I was giving everybody a shout out.
Yes.
But my quick is always going to be the kids and the elected officials that give me the money to be able to do what I need to do. Because I like spending everybody else's money before I try to charge more in taxes.
Yes.
So that was my 2 shout outs.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me today. Absolutely. And we're going to see you more. We're going to see more of you, and it's going to be dope, man.
All right.
Appreciate everything you bring into the community.
Absolutely.
All right. Mayor Booker, sincere. You know how this is going, man. Yours News, we checking out. Let's go. What's good? We just did the interview. Mayor Booker just talked about all the things you guys wanted to talk about, just pinpointing on some things. That's a wrap. You know how we doing this. Look, Yours News is where it said. If any, drop the comments and below, you know what I'm saying? Tell us what you want to ask the mayor. Any more questions you want to ask the mayor. I will be back. We will be touching bases with him. So what I want y'all to do is stay tuned in, because if you need the exclusive, you get it here. Yours News.